Welcome back to the channel. Racer X here, and today's video is kind of interesting. I wasn't actually going to do a video today. This was completely unplanned, but come to find out, I went checked my email box just a few minutes ago, and in my emails I had a personal email from Tim Kuniskis, the CEO of Dodge, and he was actually talking about one of my recent videos where I was talking about the Demon 170 and what I thought the realistic times were going to be on that particular car, and I told you basically why. Well, he had some information for me, kind of had his own opinion about the video that I put out. So today we are going to talk about some interesting things that Tim Kuniskis told me about what he thought about my video, and we will jump into it. If you guys are brand new to my channel, please do me a big gigantic favor. Hit subscribe over here in the corner. Also hit that notification bell, and off we go.
T-minus 15 seconds.
So first I want to give you just a little bit of context, because I put my other video out, I don't know, it's been 3-4 weeks now. And what I was really talking about is the fact that Dodge says this will run 891. And there's no question that the vehicle did that, right? I mean, it was NHRA certified, and people saw the car do it, and we know it is possible. And with the original Demon back in 2018, we knew that car would run a 965. I mean, I heard everything that went into making that car do that, obviously with Leah behind the wheel, the track prep, everything that had to go right to make that car run 965. Then of course most Demon owners got their cars and they couldn't come anywhere near the 965. That is just basically exactly what happened. So I kind of surmised this 891, it was going to be very much the same sort of thing. People would get their cars, go out and have a really hard time running that 891 quarter mile pass. I feel like it's important to talk a little bit about why this car could be kind of over-marketed, overhyped a little bit. I mean, that's what the Dodge guys do the best, right? They generate hype around their cars, and I absolutely love that. But they are marketing this particular car as the very first production car to ever get into the 8s. But is that really the case, right? I mean, is this something that somebody's going to be able to go buy and then immediately go out to the drag strip and run 890 at 151 miles an hour? Well, history tells us that is not the case. And I was given some information by Tim Kuniskis himself, and this car may actually be a lot more capable than I'm giving it credit for. So I want to go ahead and talk a little bit about Tim Kuniskis's email to me, and then we'll jump into a little bit more about this. So yeah, it was a bit of a surprise to see Tim send me an email basically talking about a video that I put out. And I will say, when I was up at Speed Week, he and some of the other executives did mention to me, hey, look, we watch your content. We watch content from a lot of the other, bigger Mopar influencers out there, because yes, sometimes it's constructive criticism and other times it's singing their praises. And maybe it's a little bit of both from me as well. And because I do feel like it's important to be honest about things. But many of you guys who know me personally, I absolutely love the Dodge brand, and I want to see the Dodge brand be successful for many, many years to come. And I think the executive leadership, they understand that. It comes from a place of me caring a lot about the brand, me loving the core enthusiast group, the guys that love Dodge. I mean, we're all kind of in that same big boat, and there's some things happening right now that are frustrating people, and there are other things that people are getting somewhat excited about. So the Demon 170, a little bit controversial because, as Dodd mentioned, the fastest, or I should say the quickest production car in the world, 891 at 151 miles an hour. You guys know me, I'm a drag racer. That is mind-numbingly fast. I mean, I think we have to be a little bit honest with ourselves based on what happened with the Demon previously. It was just a hard benchmark to hit, right? I mean, it's unbelievably fast. We know it did it, but so I kind of had to feel like this was going to be the same sort of thing. But Tim actually shared some stuff with me that makes me fairly optimistic that this car could realistically go out and repeat what they said that it did. So let's jump into that a little bit. So really, the important part of Tim's email was to do two things. One was to stand up for the claims that were made by Dodge and that team. And I get that. I actually kind of love the fact that Tim Kuniskis says, look, you know what? Yes, I'm the CEO of Dodge, and yes, I stand by what we said. We can prove it. And he even sent me the time slips to prove it. I don't think anybody has actually shown this time slip on any of their videos, any social media posts, as far as I know. But I have the time slip that Tim sent me, and he gave me permission to show everybody. I think that is pretty cool. And here's something that's really important to me, because I know what it took back in 2018 in terms of the perfect conditions to get that car to run a 965, right? I mean, you have Leah Pritchett, who's now, of course, Leah Pruitt, a wonderful driver, professional driver, NHRA certified, accolades galore. I realized that the track prep down there, basically absolutely perfect. I know that the team that prepped that track, the DA, was fantastic. I mean, it was just all the right stuff to get that car to run 965. And of course, like I said, a lot of other folks had a hard time doing that. This might be a little bit of a different deal, because as I have Tim's email pulled up here, he says a couple of important things. Like, obviously, I love the fact that he's standing up for Dodge and the team, kind of coming down on me just a little bit, which I love it. It's all good stuff. And I've had multiple conversations with Tim, relatively short, but he is a fantastic executive leader, a true car guy. And he says right here, he says, the 891, this is not a fluke. It has run it multiple times at multiple tracks, and it was not a professional driver. So he goes on to say, Jim Wilder, he is an amateur driver. He's the one who ran this pass that was NHRA certified, but he has run multiple 8-second passes. So this wasn't like a one and done fluke type thing.
That's awesome! I know!
So maybe there's a little bit more to this, because like I said, I mean, you have to look at all the evidence from the past and say, hey, look, will the Demon really be able to do this? But knowing now that it wasn't in perfect DA, he even says they had a crosswind at the top of the track. So this was not ideal perfect conditions that they ran this car, unlike the Demon of old. And that is really impressive to me, because the number itself, the 1,025 horsepower, 891, you drag racers out there understand how fast 891 really is at 151 miles an hour. That is just flat out cooking. And like I said, I kind of put a video out about how maybe this car might actually make more power than Dodge says it does. Maybe not. But man, what an absolute animal of a car. And so this gives me more hope when people start getting this car. And Tim also mentioned in his email, they're going to start producing this car in July, right? So you think about what the conditions are like in July. I mean, you're talking about DAs that are sky high. Take a place like Dallas, where I was from. Massive, huge DAs. And then, of course, up in the mountains, it gets even worse. I mean, your DA is going to be basically terrible for racing. If these start coming out, say, like in August, even early September, that is not ideal conditions. So if this Demon comes out and runs anywhere even close to what Dodge says it did, that is a huge win, actually. Now, I am going to go ahead and show you the time slip that he sent me. This is the official NHRA certified time slip. Everything completely legit. I will put it up on the screen for you so that you can see it. It was run at Georgia South Motorsports Park, and that's actually a really good track. But like I said, not really under ideal conditions. And as my understanding, there were multiple 8-second passes put up on this thing. So, man, that really impresses me as I look at this time, the 60-foot time, 1-2-4. That is unbelievably impressive. This is a car with a warranty.
Hell yes.
So, now that I'm getting to actually see the time slip and realize that this was not a fluke run, that this was repeatable, that's even more impressive to me. So, man, that makes this car that much more desirable to me. In the 8th mile, 121 miles an hour. Guys, I can tell you right now, that is cooking for a factory production car. And then 5.6 in the 8th. Man, that is really, really fast. Part of that's due to that really fast 60-foot time. Now, we know this car has a revised trans brake on it. It has a lot of other things working for it, things that have been kind of taken from the old Demon and made better. So this is kind of like a Demon on super steroids, obviously, which is what the teaser showed us. But very impressive when you really look at this time slip and realize that this was not a fluke one-and-done type run. So a couple other key points of note that I took out of his email. Like I said, he did mention multiple tracks. One of the other tracks was up in Maryland just a few days before the unveiling in Las Vegas. They were doing the exact same thing out there. So like I said, to me, those are really positive signs. And he basically says, look, we don't make unsubstantiated claims. So I do feel like they didn't want a repeat of what happened back in 2018 when they made those claims and nobody could repeat it. So I'm actually really, really looking forward to seeing what this car can do when it comes out. Like I said, it will be tough because the conditions will not be great in the middle of the summer, but come like say December, January, when you start getting really negative DAs in some of these places, this I cannot wait to see what this car does. Who knows? Maybe it will actually exceed expectations. And I don't think they necessarily wanted to repeat, as you saw in Vegas. Tim Kuniskis had to get up there and say, hey, look, we kind of screwed up on the direct connection kits. We wanted to give those to you. They weren't quite carb certified. We thought they were going to be, and it took us a while to get those out to you. Well, guess what? Those are coming here very soon as well. I might be a video coming out on that here shortly. But yeah, they don't want to have to get up there and do all that again.
Every one of them has been approved.
And so all of this leads me to believe that maybe this car is capable of getting out there and hitting that 890 or whatever in the right conditions. And that is unbelievably cool. Now, the other thing that Tim sent me, and once again, I haven't seen this really circulating out to the social media circles. So here it is right here. This is the letter from the NHRA. And I don't necessarily want to read it all verbatim, but I feel like it's really important to look at this because it does substantiate the fact it ran at 891 at 151 mile an hour. It is literally right there. It even talks about the person that this is from. And then it says both the elapsed time and the mile an hour on this run exceed the limits of the 2014 OEM model year and newer production cars and violates the NHRA rules. The car exceeded both the NHRA limits of 9 seconds and 150 miles an hour. So not only did it beat the ET, but it also beat the mile an hour. So on two factors there, it is basically banned by the NHRA yet again. And we know back in 2018, obviously they had a little bit different standards. Initially that car got them banned and they did it again. And that is a bit of a badge of honor with Dodge. And I mean, that's such a Dodge thing to do. So what more can you say about it? But it is neat seeing the letter here right in front of me. And of course, now you guys can see it as well. So I have renewed vigor in the Demon 170 and what it might be capable of. So guys, we will not know this really until the end of the year. Not only when people have the cars, but when the air starts getting really good, then we'll really know how just insanely fast this car is. But you have to give credit where credit is due. Dodge had all of these goals, right? I know they had to have been sitting in some boardroom somewhere trying to draw up all the things that they wanted to hit, every box they wanted to check, how fast it wanted to be, how much power it wanted to make, all this other stuff. And because they knew they didn't want to underwhelm everybody with this offering, right? They wanted to go out with a significant bang. And that is exactly what they achieved with this car. And I mean, it really does. If you are a true performance enthusiast, you have to respect what they did with this car. Over 1,000 horsepower with a warranty, this insane trans brake. This thing comes with drag radials on it right from the factory. They didn't even mess around with street tires on this. They knew this was a purpose-built. Now it is street legal. I want to point that out. I mean, it is. He calls it a strip street car, and that's exactly what it is. But man, you're flirting with race car on this. But that's part of what makes it so freaking cool. So anyway, guys, I wanted to share this information coming directly from the CEO of Dodge. Like I said, he smacked me around just a little bit, but also, we've had conversations in the past, and they are a big supporter of the channel. He knows of some of my plans coming up with Dodge, and ultimately, I want to see the Dodge brand grow and be successful. I think a lot of you guys out there do as well. So let me know what you think about this information coming directly from the CEO. I'd love to hear it in the comments down below, and I will catch you on the next one. So until then, Racer X.